Hello everybody, welcome back to another episode of Pointless Top 10, a show where we make top 10 lists out of pointless things. Why are we flying by this pointless statue in Booty Bay? Because inside pointless things are treasure. Let's begin. 10. Number 10 is the Valley of Heroes Bridge in Stormwind, and I put this bridge on the list because it's a very prominent bridge, right? It's a very historic bridge. Most people, when they're first creating characters in World of Warcraft, especially if you're Alliance, you're gonna walk across this bridge and be like, oh man, I'm walking into this giant city, right? You've got the cathedral in the background, you got all the statues of all the old historic figures all around, and it's a really cool entrance and a really cool bridge overall. You got the stone ground, and it's neat. I didn't play the Alliance back in the day. I mainly played Horde, so I don't have as much nostalgia about it, but you can't not know about the Stormwind Bridge, and because of that, I put it at number 10. 9. Number 9 are the High Mountain Peak bridges, and High Mountain Peak is a large mountain located in southern High Mountain, and it is the highest point in the Broken Isles. I did not know that. Fun little fact there. And the mountain trails and outposts are maintained by the Skyhorn tribe. Only 2 settlements can be found on High Mountain Peak, Greystone and the secluded Ironhorn Enclave. But it's a really cool area. I mean, you got the snow blowing around. You've got the sky that looks amazing with all the stars and the Aurora Borealis looking type effect going on up there, but it looks phenomenal. And the bridges, I think, really add to that atmospheric environment, if this makes sense. Because, when you're up in the mountains, there's the snow and the cold and everything's blowing around, and you have these, long, creaky bridges, right? For a fact, if you're walking on one of these bridges, it's like swaying back and forth, and it's like, right? And at any moment that rope is going to snap. If this was in a movie, 100% that one of these ropes is snapping, and they're like hanging from the mountainside, being like, oh no, what's gonna happen? Anyway, that's number 9. 8. Number 8 is the Jade Forest Bell Bridge, and I couldn't find any information on the Jade Forest Bell Bridge, but, the only information you need is it's got a giant bell. I did find an article on a Windspire Bridge, but those are different bridges. Those aren't this specific, bell bridge. I don't know why, but this bridge just stands out because it's got a giant bell. You know what I mean? I did look at those other bridges and I was like, well, they look like these bridges, which are very cool. They got the temple shrine style walkways and stuff, and the stairs and really cool architecture and, stone walkways and stuff. But this one has a giant bell. And as you can see, there's some panda kids with mallets. Looks like they want to whack the bell. There's some guy also standing there. So I honestly don't remember if there's anything special with this bell involving any quests, and I didn't really know what to look for. But if there is, let me know in the comments section down below. I'd love to know. But just in the grand scheme of things, it's a really cool bridge, right? You fly by, you see the really big bell, you can fly around it, and it's neat. So that's why it's number 8. 7. Number 7 is the Dunbaldar Bridge in Alterac Valley. And when I was thinking of bridges, this one instantly came to mind. And this bridge is famous enough that it's got a Hearthstone card, right? It's got a 4 cost after you summon a minion, give it a 2/2 last 3 turns Paladin Hearthstone card. So this bridge is popular enough to be in the hit game Hearthstone Battlegrounds. Wow. That's the joke, is that people play Battlegrounds, they don't actually play actual Hearthstone. That's besides the point. This bridge is fantastic. I always remember back in the day fearing people on this bridge. I would go on my priest, you just run onto the bridge and be like, Psychic Scream, and it's like, blah, and everybody runs. Or you can mind control people and jump them off the bridge. Or, just having these epic battles on this bridge, right? Like Horde and Alliance going back and forth, fighting each other. Kind of this big choke point, being a crucial area to see who's going to control Alterac Valley, see if the Horde can push over. And even if you're on defense, it's fun doing the same thing back at the Horde, right? Fearing them off, mind controlling them off, kind of just AoEing on the bridge. And it's definitely one of the most notorious bridges in World of Warcraft. I feel like a lot of these bridges are just here because of notoriety. But I do think that makes a good bridge, right? They are notorious and historic for reasons. But aside from that, it does have some pretty cool structural properties, right? It's got the big stone pylons that are holding it up over the mountains and the trees, and then you got your standard wooden plank bridge planks going across. So, you know, it's a very simplistic bridge, but it's a very cool looking bridge. And I think for being as old as it is, it's held up pretty well through the years. And that's why it's number 7. 6. Number 6 are the bridges in Thunder Bluff. And once again, these aren't the most crazy, wild bridges or anything, right? But these are very notorious bridges, right? If you go to Thunder Bluff, odds are you've walked on a bridge. And if you haven't, I don't know what you're doing, because you need to get to the other parts of Thunder Bluff, and the only way to do that is to cross a bridge. So I don't know. I guess you could fly at this point. You don't actually have to take the bridge. But if you played Classic WoW, you did have to take the bridges. And I always thought it was such a really cool city design, because, you know, you get the Thunder Bluff, you got to take the elevator up, and you're on the mountains, right? So you're in this city on the mountains, and it's like, oh, how do I get over there? And it's like, oh, you got to walk across this big bridge, and then, you know, it's like, oh, and then you got to walk back across this big bridge. And I always really enjoyed it because you can kind of look out into the open plains and the wilderness and see everything. And, you know, you can look up at the sky, and you can always be like, uh-oh, I'm going to fall down. And obviously, you know, you can fall off the bridge, but that's a risk with any bridge. But I really enjoy these Thunder Bluff bridges, and I had to put them on the list. But, you know, I wasn't going to put them too high up, but I didn't want to put them too low either, because I do love the Thunder Bluff bridges. And I thought number 6 is probably a pretty good spot for them. You know, nothing too exciting. But these bridges are sturdy, they're reliable, they've held through the test of time, and you gotta give them props for that. And that's why they're number 6. 5. Number 5 is the bridge that connects the Arathi Highlands and the wetlands. And it's this really cool big stone bridge that I always remember crossing, you know, all the time. And I was like, dude, this is a cool bridge. But turns out there's actually a lot of cool lore behind it. So according to Wowpedia, this is the Thandal Span, and it is a set of massive stone bridges connecting the wetlands of northern Cosmodan with the Arathi Highlands of southeastern Lordaeron. It is one of the greatest engineering projects ever completed by the dwarves, having been under the guard of the Anvil Mars for at least 3 generations. The area where it is located was once known as the Thandal Valley. After the War of the Three Hammers, the dwarves of Ironforge sought to retain relations and trade with their Wildhammer cousins in Airy Peak in the hinterlands. The 2 arches of the Thandal Span were built to bridge the gap between Cosmodan and Lordaeron and to serve both as an economic and symbolic bridge between the dwarven territories. Prosperity was gained by the 2 dwarven kingdoms as a result of mutual trade. And then you might be like, well, Crendor, why is it all broken now? And all, you know, shattered chains and everything like that. Well, the mighty bridges recently suffered heavy damage due to a dark iron attack planned by Cam Deep Fury and Balgaros the Foul. One of the 2 bridges was all but destroyed, and the dwarven forces fought fiercely to defend the last remaining bridge and retake the nearby town of Dunbaldar. During the assault, many dwarves died, and the brother of Long Braid the Grim. I actually remember doing the quest that's right in the wetlands by this bridge. I never knew it was actually related to the bridge because I never read the quest dialogue. I was just like, me complete quest, me level. And so I'm sure many of you haven't either. And all it took was just watching a random video about bridges years later to be like, wow, that's what that quest was all about. And that's why it's number 5. 4. Number 4 is the Gyro Plank Bridge, which is the bridge that connects Netherstorm and Blade's Edge together. And it is a product of Goblin Engineering, if you couldn't tell. It is constructed by Boom, B-O-O-M, otherwise known as Brain Trust of Orbital Operations and Mechanics. And they are a group of goblins operating their money-making schemes in Area 52 and Cosmo Wrench in Netherstorm. But I think most of all, what I love about this bridge is how many wacky gizmos and gadgets there are. There's like some wobbly, you know, spinny things on the sides of the bridge. There's like these, you know, strings of rope hanging there for whatever reason. There's like goblins hammering on random contraptions on the bridge. I don't even know what's going on, to be honest, but if you look at it, you're like, hey, you know what? These goblins seem to know what they're doing, right? They're building this bridge. It's functioning. I don't know why they need all this stuff, but I'm just here to cross the bridge, right? And in fact, there's this goblin who's working on the bridge, and he's like, what is this? This can't be right. Who built this bridge anyway? Oh, we did. And he just walks away like, whatever. So I love this bridge just because it's goofy, it's wacky, it's goblin-y. It's all the things I love about World of Warcraft, and that's why it's number 4. 3. Number 3 are log bridges, and I kind of cheated with this category, and I included 2 bridges in the list because I didn't realize there were multiple log bridges in WoW. I was going to do the Grizzly Hills one, and then someone was like, well, aren't you going to do the Town Long Steps one? And I was like, what? And then I went and found it, and I was like, oh my god, how could I not put this in? Or Dread Wastes, it's around that area. I never really went to the Town Long Steps or the Dread Waste that much, and so I completely forgot about this bridge, and I mean, it's a phenomenal log bridge, so I decided to just cheat and make both of these categories into one and just call it log bridges. If there's any other log bridges in the game, I couldn't find any, and please comment below if you know any, because I love log bridges, and I would be sad I missed one. But this one's phenomenal in Grizzly Hills. You know, it's a bit older, but still really cool. I love the way the sun shafts kind of hit into the bridge, and you see the sun kind of, you know, moving around in there. I always really love that, and crossing over this bridge was really neat. And on the flip side, I love how awesome the you know, giant tree trunk log bridge is over in Mist of Pandaria. Just like this massive tree fell over, and it's just hollowed out, and you can go through it. And I just love the natural construction of log bridges, you know what I mean? I mean, really, it's just, you know, some trees fell over, and, you know, they're hollowed out, and you can go through them, and they're allowing you to pass over the land, and I just think that's really cool. I love when there's those types of things in the game. I hope there's more log bridges I don't know about, but these are the only 2 I know about, and I think they're both really cool. And on most people's lists, I think these would be probably way higher up. They'd probably be like, you know, number 9, number 8, but me, big log bridge fan, and that's why they're number 3. 2! Number 2 are the chain bridges in Blackrock Mountain, and these are a really good one because they're very notorious, historical, all those things I've been mentioning throughout the video, but they're also very unique, and, you know, these are the types of things you don't really find in any other version of the game, like being able to walk on chains to go places, you know what I mean? And not only that, but these dwarves up in the mountain are holding these chains. I can still remember back in, you know, vanilla WoW, walking into Blackrock Mountain and being like, I don't even know how to go anywhere. And then it's like, oh, you got to walk on the chains, and being like, oh shit, like this is crazy, right? And you got these weird dwarves up there looking down at you, like, go ahead, walk on the chain. And you're like, all right. There's like people fighting all over on the chains, and people waiting to get into molten core. And there's all the lava, you know, flowing down, and then you had to go down, you know, some of the chains and get to the middle, then you got to go down again and get to the bottom area, and you go into the lava sometimes. There's people like jumping in the lava. Like, these were just really cool ways to get around the mountain. And, you know, think if they would have had normal bridges, right? If they would have had some normal bridges, it would have been like, oh, this is cool, right? You walk around, but just the fact that it's chains, like it fit the theme so well, right? I think that's what's so cool about them. They're very thematically fulfilling bridges for Blackrock Mountain, and they really added that character and style to this, you know, essentially a pre-raid, pre-dungeon area, because this is where you went to go to, you know, Blackrock Depths, and this is where you went to go to, you know, Blackwing Lair and Molten Core, and like all these different areas. Like, you had to go here, and so people were gonna see this one way or the other. And, you know, going here early on, like a little 55 to 60 to gear up to go to Molten Core, and then going to Molten Core, and going to Blackwing Lair, and even, you know, BRD, you had to go here. So I mean, I think these are fantastic. I love these bridges, and I wanted to put them way high up on the list, the same way this dwarf is way high up in the mountain holding this chain bridge. That sounded like a news report. This has been Crendor in Blackrock Mountain. Back to Crendor in the studio. 1. And number 1 is Kolagharn. And Kolagharn is the 6th boss encounter in Ulduar, and he guards the Shattered Walkway into central Ulduar, where not only is he protecting the bridge, he is the bridge. This is the bridge boss, and you pretty much have to fight Kolagharn, and you're like, oh, I guess I gotta fight him to get past this boss to get to the bridge. But then when he dies, he just becomes the bridge, and you're like, oh, I guess he's the bridge. It's probably one of the most unique boss encounters in the game, let alone one of the most unique bridges in the game. Don't know many other bridges that are made out of a boss, but this is one of them. And, I mean, for that reason alone, he has to be number one, right? Like, there is no other bridge like him. He cannot be replicated. Even if you have another boss that dies and becomes a bridge, it's not Kolagharn. He is his own thing. And it's just, Ulduar is a fantastic raid. You know, there's so many different variables going into this, but for all the reasons I mentioned, I thought this guy deserves to be the number one bridge in World of Warcraft. Hey everybody, thanks for checking out this episode of Pointless Top 10. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, all that good YouTube lingo. And if you want to check out some more Pointless Top 10s, there's a lot of them. Go check them out. There's a couple on the screen for you right there. And I'll see you next time, okay? Okay. See ya.